Shark fans and islanders, welcome back to another video. This week, Thursday 28th of July 2022, a female snorkeler was bitten on the leg by a blue shark in Cornwall. In this video we're going to break it down, we'll have a look at some of the news articles, I'll tell you what I know, I'll tell you a little bit more about blue sharks, and we'll just break it down together. I always like sharing these things with you. As you know, this is part of the shark series, so without further ado, let's get to it. So as always, I'm going to endeavour to keep this video fairly precise, but let's have a quick skeet in case you've been living in some sort of hobbit cave for the last day or two, where we have a look at some of the news articles. So up first, Daily Mail, shark attack off coast of Cornwall, woman bitten on the leg, first time it's happened in British waters since 1847. The Telegraph, shark attack swimmer off British coast for the first time in 175 years. That's not factually correct. There have been shark encounters stroke attacks since then. I did a video on this, check that out afterwards, I'll link it below. Snorkeler bitten by shark off Cornwall coast. You might be wondering, why is this only broken now if this happened last week? This comes from a statement from the Coast Guard, followed by a statement from the Snorkel charter company, which we'll talk about as we go on. But from what I understand, blue sharks are a pelagic shark. They're like really deep columns of water, and they're not found often any closer than about 10 to 15 miles offshore. So off Penzance, south of England, 10 to 15 miles off. If there's a medical emergency, you're probably not going to call the RNLI, although they may have assisted. It's going to be a helicopter rescue, especially with the potential for a shark incident. The Sun, shark horror, shark attack off British coast. I mean, is it a shark attack? Me personally, and I'll explain this, I think this is an exploratory bite, but we'll go into that shortly. And then the England Standard, Penzance shark attack. You get the message. You only have to Google Cornwall shark attack and you'll have 100 news articles. I always get comments in my videos where people say there's no sharks in British waters. There's over 40 species of sharks in British waters, of which 20 reside in our waters all year round. Those numbers aren't small. Don't forget the orcas and some of the sharks, cousin to the great white, the porbeagle, the short fin Atlantic mako, which I think is the most dangerous shark in our waters. And then you've got the blue shark, which I would liken to a pet dog, to be fair. They have quite a mild temperament, and if you look at blue sharks, there's been 25 attacks worldwide, of which 9 are unprovoked. Whether this one is or not provoked, we don't know that yet, and only 4 fatalities, so the numbers are fairly low. They're quite a chilled out shark. But sort of midday, female snorkeler gets bitten by a shark in British waters. How has this happened? There's a charter called the Blue Shark snorkeling trip based in Penzance that takes people out for about 180 quid, I think, 10 miles offshore. They do chum the waters, they use a frozen chum. The reason they use frozen chum is because if you've ever been chumming, and I have, when I went great white shark cage diving, they chucked this honking chum over the top of me, and it did make me feel a little bit sick, I'm not going to lie. So the frozen chum doesn't smell as bad, but it still attracts the sharks. Half an hour later or so, when the sharks turn up, they put people in the water and they have a great time snorkeling. They do have a frequently asked questions area where they do explain you're not allowed to approach sharks. They don't allow bright coloured snorkels or fins, because obviously sharks might show a little bit more interest in that. They do make a statement that these are wild animals and you're going into their domain. Unpredictable. There's always a risk. Out of the 4 fatalities with blue sharks, and as often is the case with most shark attacks, don't have to be Einstein to realise people die from blood loss. And the blue shark's teeth, they've got about 60 teeth in their mouth, so it's not that many, nothing like a great white or a tiger shark, but their teeth shape's not too dissimilar to a tiger shark. They're triangular with a recurved bit and with serrated edge, so they will cause a bit of damage if they give you a bite. I do believe this is an exploratory bite. Sharks don't have arms or legs, do they? So they're going to come up and have a little nip. We don't know whether the snorkeler approached the shark or whether they were wearing jewellery or something unusual happened. This charter goes out most days in the summer. These blue sharks are in our waters from June till October, so hundreds if not thousands of people experience this charter. I don't blame the charter personally. I know people that have been on it and they said it's bang on, it's really good. But the charter does say snorkelers are not allowed to approach the sharks, they let the sharks approach them. So I've done a quick look around. The sea temperature that day was 17.6 degrees Celsius. These sharks, which can grow up to 4 meters, the biggest one in British waters ever recorded was 2.7 meters, around 115 kilos. But yeah, these sharks like waters between 12 and 20 degrees Celsius. They have a bigger range between 8 degrees and 30 degrees Celsius, but they're not a lambda day shark like the great white sharks and the porbeagles, who can regulate their body temperatures in much higher waters. Just a little bit on these sharks then. So they're quite a slim torpedo shaped shark with a blue sheen, hence being called the blue shark. They're known to follow a clockwise pattern through the Gulf Stream from the Caribbean to the UK, and then they go back after October time normally. They primarily eat small fish, squid. They've been known to eat seabirds and other sharks, smaller sharks. Sharks are carnivorous, they will have a crack at each other. They give birth to probably 30 to 35 pups. They're widespread, they're found in pretty much every sea except the Arctic. And interestingly, orcas in the UK have been known to hunt these in the summer months. It's been documented, I think it's even been filmed. You don't mess around with orcas, as you've seen in South Africa. They're killing great whites left, right and centre. And actually they are killing great whites in New Zealand now. It's been documented just this last month. Ultimately, I don't know the full details of this. Nobody does yet until the snorkeler themselves comes out and gives a proper statement. But if you go in the water with an apex predator, I've freedived with tiger sharks, you've got to just always be prepared that you're in their environment. You can't blame the sharks, you can't blame the charter. There's a demand for it. I actually wouldn't mind doing something like that myself. Obviously I've got the boat here, we're going to go out chumming ourselves and see what comes along. I know about 15 miles offshore from where I live, there's known mako sharks and also blue sharks like we discussed, but I come prepared. I carry this, which is a kit I've put together, Cat 7 tourniquet. I carry Celox hemostatic granules, which is developed in Afghanistan from gunshot wounds, and Israeli bandages, because ultimately if something does happen, it could even be simple as just with a freediving knife or a spear gun. Hurt yourself, always be prepared. Just had a quick skeet on the Instagram of the charter, the blue shark snorkel. There's some fantastic footage on here and you'll get an appreciation. I'll overlay some of it on the screen for the sheer size of some of these blue sharks that come in on their charters. So I'm just going to hide in here. There's a bit of weather coming in here, it's about to rain. So I better get the boat cover back on and get out of here. But ultimately, as more information of this comes out, I'll share it with you guys. As always, any other shark events out there, I'll share it. Thank you for all those people that got in touch. I knew about this anyway, but you always get in touch. You guys are great. Coming up, I'm going to go down a seal colony at sunrise. I've got the tide timing's absolutely spot on, so it should be the most highest activity. We may see porv eagles, fingers crossed, other sharks. For those who don't think there's any sharks in British waters, I showed this clip in the last video. This was filmed in the UK last year, and I'll leave you with this. Cheers guys, appreciate it, catch you on the next one.
It's here. Hello. Good God. That's not Photoshop.